Okay, so you saw the title. You see that title. You see the picture. You see my shirt. This was not at all the video I intended on making today. Because today, September 29th, as I'm filming this, Power Rangers Cosmic Fury is officially released. Stay tuned. Gen V officially released. Stay tuned. All that's taking a backseat because Tupac's murderer might have been arrested. So yeah, there's no secret here on my channel how big a fan I am of Tupac and how big his influence has been on me. Now I've made a Tupac video since his 25th anniversary, I think it was. Yeah, I went and talked all about it. That was some years ago. And this news breaking, like I first heard about it like earlier today, I think, and it just more stuff kept coming out. Like I couldn't even concentrate when I was watching SmackDown or Rampage. I was just getting articles and videos. So this will be a long one. I got a lot of shit to read, a lot of shit to watch. I did watch small bits of one of the videos, and I might read most of, not all of one of the articles. I'll tell you when. So yeah, this first article here. Tupac murder. Keefe D arrested for his alleged role in 1996 slaying. Now, right off the bat, Keefe D, he's been like the one dude really saying anything about what went down, because he's been sick for the longest time, and he's just like, well, fuck it, I'm just gonna talk. It's been years now, and now he's been arrested. Like, I understand everything. They're gonna explain it like he has a nephew or something. I get that. Also, well, we'll get to it. Okay. Keefe Davis is the uncle of the late icon suspected killer Orlando Anderson, who I believe himself found up unfortunately murdered in 1998. So, who was fairly shot to drop by in 1998? There it is. Okay. Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, which I always thought his name was Keith or something, because why call yourself Keefe D? Maybe it's his middle name, I don't know. Was reportedly arrested in Las Vegas on Friday, September 29th. On Friday morning, September 29th, in connection to the murder of Tupac Shakur. According to the Associated Press, a grand jury in Clark County indicted Davis on one count of murder with use of a deadly weapon with intent to promote further or assist a criminal gang. Prosecutors said in court. Damn, that's quick. Davis is the uncle of Shakur suspected killer Orlando Anderson. Yeah, do it, fro. Who was fatally shot in a drive-by 2 years after. Yeah. Sorry about that. Oh my goodness. Anyway, in July, Las Vegas police searched Davis's home. Yeah, there have been steady updates about this, but this is like a major one. Really? Thank you, AllHipHop. House police searched Davis's home as part of an investigation into Shakur's murder, but did not offer many details. A warrant obtained by NBC, not the National Broadcasting Company, at the time revealed they looked at desktops and other electronic storage devices, including thumb drives, CDs. Yeah, so it's right there. External hard drives, audio recordings. The warrant reportedly uncovered, and get this, y'all, a Pokeball USB drive. This is a very serious thing, but that is absolutely hilarious. And Pokemon, at least it came here to the States in 97 for the first time. I remember that. And it's like they found a Pokeball USB drive in Keefe D's house in connection with Tupac's murder. That's insane. A black iPhone, 2 iPads, and a purple Toshiba laptop, among other items. But those are all post-Tupac. Okay. The search warrant was served in Henderson, Nevada, and marked the biggest development in the unsolved homicide in years. Over the years, it has appeared as though the LVMPD My goodness. Made little progress in solving the case. Keefe D has made several incriminating comments. Yeah, he's been saying everything about his role in the murder, and investigators had their eyes on him for years. In a 2021 interview with Bomb First, former bodyguard Reggie Wright Jr. suggested investigators were looking into Keefe D's involvement and could possibly take him to jail. Okay, I think I remember that, but again, he was talking about he was like real sick or something. Yeah. Biggie Smalls coming to LA after Tupac. Yeah, Biggie shouldn't have done that. That's a whole other video. When the interviewer mentioned there had been an uptick in activity between the LVMPD and Keefe D as law enforcement tries to further the investigation, Wright suggested Keefe D has cause to be nervous while confirming the police are in the midst of an active investigation. Let's put it this way. I bet Keefe D has been having runs for the last 2 weeks. Wright responded at the time. For the last 2 weeks, end quote. Wright responded at the time, quote, because yeah, they are knocking on doors and there's some activity, end quote. Okay. Keefe D himself copped to being, yeah, he was there, like allegedly in the car when it happened. Not the car with Tupac and Suge, but the other car. Has copped to being an accomplice in the car. Yeah, when Anderson allegedly fired fatal shots during a 2021 sit down with the Art of Dialogue. I saw that shit. I watched that. Yeah, former LAPD detective Greg Kading reportedly found it unfathomable Keefe D had been arrested for Tupac's death. Yeah. Okay, it's a big one. Okay, quote, there is adequate probable cause to arrest Keefe D on conspiracy to commit murder charges based on his numerous public confessions. He told the Sun, end quote, he told the Sun, quote, it would be a decision of the district attorney's office to determine if the evidence is strong enough for prosecution. The police department can absolve itself from their responsibilities by arresting Keefe D. Okay, that's not the attitude we want. And putting the responsibility on the DA where it belongs. It's not about past responsibility, it's about getting justice, man. Quote, he is making a mockery out of the justice system and the public perception is Tupac's murder case is a little interest to the LVPD. I remember hearing that. Yeah, people were pissed. The objects on it are horrible. Yep, I remember this. For history's sake and for the sake of their own reputation, they ought to arrest Keefe D, clear the murder case, and place a burden of responsibility onto the shoulders of the DA's office. It's that simple, end quote. Wow, that thinking there. What in the world? Whatever. In a 2018 episode of BET's Death Row Chronicles, holy shit. I've not watched BET in years. I can't remember that, but yeah. He asserted that he knew who murdered Tupac Shakur. He later wrote about it in his 29 tell-all memoir, Compton Street Legend. Okay. Shakur was 25 when he was gunned down near the Las Vegas Strip on the night of September 7th, 1996. That's correct. He was in a white BMW driven by Death Row Records founder Suge Knight in a convoy of about 10 cars. Huh. They were waiting at the red light when a white Cadillac pulled up next to them and gunfire erupted. Shakur was shot multiple times and died at the University of Nevada Medical Center a week later on Friday, September 13th, 1996, 4:03 p.m. The last bit was me. But yeah. Oh, that's all they have? Okay. Suge Knight real quick. Okay. For the longest time, I and so many people thought it was Suge Knight. But then, for me, personally, after Ice-T investigated this and did that whole documentary, I was like, okay, it's not Suge. Even Suge ain't that crazy. That dude was a whole other level, but he ain't about to get shot, possibly in the head, just to, no. And no, I don't believe he was shot in the head at all. Maybe glass. That's a whole other thing, too. Okay, next article. Like, Keefe is arrested. This okay. The one dude's been saying anything for years. Which one is this? That's the right one. Let us see. Interact. Yep, that's it. Okay. There it is. Okay. Next article. This is the one that I read like a whole lot of. Maybe all of it. Las Vegas DA quotes Tupac while promising justice will be served in rapper's murder. How many gangster rappers have their DA quoting them? Think about that. That's how important this is, how big this is. Crazy. Hours after Dwayne Keefe D. Davis was arrested, we just read that article, for the 1996 murder of Tupac Shakur, the Las Vegas Police Department and Clark County District Attorney Steve Wilson held a press conference divulging some of the details during Wilson's time on the podium, which we will be watching in a second. He quoted Tupac as he assured viewers that justice would be served. That's what it's about, man. Quote, it has been often said justice delayed is justice denied, end quote. Wilson began, quote, it's a quote we hear often and for many, many years talked about our legal system, but not in this case. Today, justice will be served in the murder of Tupac Shakur. I'd like to acknowledge the relentless work of the many Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department homicide detectives. We've mentioned Detective Cliff Mogg many times, and we can't mention his name enough. He is a detective along with his colleagues that brought this case here today to you. End quote. Okay, so I think they're recapping the video we're about to watch. Yeah, these are all quotes. Yeah, that's the video we're watching in a second. Okay, here we go. Davis was arrested on Friday, September 29th. Davis was arrested. That's twice it's gotta be. Davis was arrested on Friday morning, September 29th. He is the uncle of. Yeah, I just read this. I literally just read this. The pokey, yeah. Okay, I think this is. The search warrant was served in Henderson, Nevada, and marked the biggest development in the case. I read that. Okay. Yeah, literally. Okay, so we're right on to it. To the video then. To our first video. Is it this one? It is this one. Okay. There it is. Okay. Live chat was turned off, was it? I wonder if the comments were. And this is on the channel. Really? It was on a whole other channel earlier, but okay. On CBS News. Okay.
Criminal apprehension team, and this investigation started on the night of September 7th, 1996. It is far from over. It has taken countless hours, really decades, of work by the men and women of our homicide section to get to where we are today. Several of those detectives that are standing here with us include Detective Cliff Mogg, the lead detective on this case. He is now retired. While I know there's been many people who did not believe that the murder of Tupac Shakur was important to this police department, I'm here to tell you that was simply not the case. It was not the case back then, and it is not the case today. Our goal at LVMPD has always been to hold those accountable and responsible for Tupac's violent murder accountable. Just like we do for every homicide victim in our city. Every single victim, every life that is lost is important and remains a priority to this police department. As we methodically built this case to move forward with an arrest, it was also important that at the same time, we're building towards a successful prosecution.
Methodically means very slow and taking their time, basically.
We work closely with our esteemed District Attorney, Steve Wolfson, in his office to ensure that is going to happen. Mr. Davis's own words reinvigorated our case in 2018. I'm going to give you some of those details, and I'm going to introduce to you our homicide lieutenant, Jason Johansson, and he will provide you many of the details on how we got here today.
Thank you, Sheriff, and thank you everybody for being here today. My name is Jason Johansson, and I'm the homicide lieutenant.
Okay, so there are two different officers here. I wasn't sure when I was skimming through the video earlier.
With the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. And my goal here today is to walk you through our investigation and what led us to the indictment of Dwayne Davis, also known as Keefe, for the murder of 2pac Shakur. This case has been reviewed by our homicide team and homicide detectives for over 2.5 decades. And ultimately, our persistence in this investigation has paid off. Let me walk you through a timeline of events that as we know them right now. Prior to September 7th of 1996, as we all know, 2pac Shakur was an artist who was signed with Death Row Records. And that Death Row Records and its CEO, Mary Suge Knight, were closely affiliated with the Mob Piru criminal street gangs, and that they had an ongoing feud with the Southside Compton Crips. Dwayne Davis was the leader and shot caller of the Southside Compton Crips. And both of these gangs operated out of the Southern California area of Compton. On the night of September 7th of 1996, 2pac Shakur, along with Suge Knight, and members of their entourage, which include members of Mob Piru, came to Vegas to attend the Mike Tyson fight at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. Members of the Southside Compton Crips, which included Dwayne Davis, along with his nephew Orlando Anderson, were also in attendance at the same event. As both were leaving the fight, members of Death Row Records spotted Orlando Anderson near an elevator bank inside the MGM, and at that time they began to kick and punch him.
You probably saw that video of Tupac and his group of 2pac and his crew in a fight at Vegas. That was right before he got murdered. You probably saw that video.
That elevator bank. I will now show you hotel security footage, as many of you
or you can see it now.
To this incident. And on this incident, you will see 2pac Shakur, who's wearing a shiny satiny shirt, along with Marion Suge Knight, who's a large man in a brown suit, punching and kicking Orlando Anderson. Following this incident, you'll see hotel security intervene, and then they will leave the area of the fight. Little did anyone know that it is this incident right here that would ultimately lead to the retaliatory shooting and death of 2pac Shakur.
That incident, what he just said, little did anyone know that incident would lead to the retaliation and the murder of 2pac Shakur. Now, I'm a conspiracy theorist. Like I said, I'm a big 2pac fan, and I've just for years myself been looking into a lot of stuff. I've fallen into a bunch of conspiracies, some about a certain faction whose name I will not name. Some about he's alive in Cuba, and said officially Pac dropped this gang member. This gang member got his retaliation, like the officer said. Makes a whole lot more sense than a certain faction. So yeah.
Following this incident, 2pac and Suge Knight both left the MGM to make their way to a post-fight party, which was to occur at a local nightclub.
The infamous final picture.
At the same time, word had spread amongst members of the Southside Compton Crips of what had occurred inside.
Okay, it said white. That is black. Or is it because it's dark out? He said it was driving a white car. It is obviously black, but okay.
At the MGM. And then that's when Dwayne Davis began to devise a plan to obtain a firearm and retaliate against Suge Knight and Mr. Shakur for what occurred inside the hotel against Mr. Anderson. After Davis obtained a gun, he entered into a white Cadillac along with Terrence Brown, DeAndre Smith, and Orlando Anderson. Based on our investigation, this is where we know
I like how it says, oh, deceased. I thought it said redacted. Yeah, all of them are deceased? Okay. Let's write over their faces to see. Like, but in the case of Orlando, it's not hard to find a picture of him, like, at all. But, okay, I guess maybe out of respect.
they were seated. At some point in time, as they were in the white Cadillac, Mr. Davis took the gun that he had obtained and provided it to the passengers in the rear seat of the vehicle. As they were driving west on Flamingo Road near Koval, they located the black BMW, which was driven by Suge Knight, and then the passenger seat was.
See, he just said black. The article said white.
As they turned around,
okay.
They pulled up near the passenger side of that vehicle and immediately began shooting at Mr. Knight and Mr. Shakur. Following that shooting, the white Cadillac fled the area southbound on Koval.
Moving forward requires knowing what's on the road ahead.
I'm sorry.
As
I'm sorry about that. It's almost over. Not even going to cut it out. Oh, sure. Double ad.
Up near the passenger side of that vehicle and immediately began shooting at Mr. Knight and Mr. Shakur. Following that shooting, the white Cadillac fled the area southbound on Koval, and after our officers arrived on scene, 2pac was later transported to the University Medical Center, where he was treated medically and died approximately 6 days later on September 13th. My homicide section handled this investigation from its onset and for a short amount of time. And within a short amount of time, what we knew was that we were working a gang investigation where our victims, our witnesses, and our suspects were all from Southern California and not local to Las Vegas. Within the first few months of the investigation, our detectives knew most of the information I just briefed you on. However, we never had the necessary evidence to bring this case forward and present it for criminal charges. As time went on, this case had been reviewed multiple times by different investigators assigned to my section.
Yeah, there was even a movie about it. Well, supposed to be a movie about it. And there was a whole other cop, too, who investigated for like years. A white dude. He's not on with us either. And Johnny Depp was supposed to play him in a movie, but then when we all know it went down, and there was a trailer and everything for it, so yeah.
But it wasn't until 2018 that this case was reinvigorated as additional information came to light related to this homicide. Specifically, Dwayne Davis's own admissions to his involvement in this homicide investigation that he provided to numerous different media outlets.
I want to point out that Marty Jannetty told the story about how he took someone's life for trying to assault him when he was a boy. He said exactly where it happened, where he put the body at, and the police were on it like that. They went there and investigated. They couldn't find a thing. Keefe D's been saying for years, once again, that he was directly involved, that he was fucking there in the car, and he's just not being arrested. I'm just saying.
In our section, we knew at this time that this was likely our last time to take a run at this case, to successfully solve this case and bring forth a criminal charge. It was at that time that this case was assigned to Cliff Mogg, a detective within my homicide section. And over the last 5 years, my section worked closely, hand in hand with the Clark County District Attorney's Office, and followed a systematic investigative plan. We've conducted countless interviews and corroborated numerous facts that were not only consistent with the crime scene on the night of the incident, but also corroborated and were consistent with the sequence of events that night. This ultimately led to us procuring a search warrant which was executed at Mr. Davis's residence in Henderson, Nevada. And following the execution of that search warrant, in close coordination with the District Attorney's Office.
My thing is, though, while that's a good thing to be this thorough, what are the chances there's anything on any of these way newer devices about Tupac? I mean, realistically, as much as I want justice, I just can't help ask that.
This case was presented to the grand jury, which ultimately led to Davis being indicted on charges of murder. Before I hand it off to the District Attorney's Office, I would be remiss if I didn't thank Detective Mogg and all the other detectives that were not only assigned this case and reviewed this case, but all the other detectives from other agencies that assisted us in this investigation. They know who they are, and thank you very much for all the assistance you provided. It does not go unnoticed. And lastly, one of the most important things, in my opinion, is that we need to make this be a reminder that the charge of murder does not have a statute of limitations. This agency has been and...
No, it doesn't. Like I said, Marginetti is supposed to have taken someone's life back in the 70s when he was a young boy because they were trying to assault him. And police, this was just recently, maybe last year or so, police, they were like that on it. They went to where it happened, where Marginetti said he allegedly had help hiding the body, whatever. Didn't find a thing. Again, Keefe for years been saying he played a big part in what happened to Tupac and for Jesus not being arrested. Worth noting.
Is invested in solving our cold case homicides so that we can bring closure to those families and justice for those victims of homicide. And with that, I will turn it over to the Clark County District Attorney, Steve Wilson.
Thank you, Lieutenant Johansson. I appreciate it. Good afternoon. I am the Las Vegas, Clark County District Attorney Steve Wolfson. It has often been said, justice delayed is justice denied. It's a quote we hear often and for many, many years when talking about our legal system, but not in this case. Today, justice will be served in the murder of Tupac Shakur. I'd like to acknowledge the relentless work of the many Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department homicide detectives.
I'm sorry, that's a minor nitpick. His name's Tupac Shakur. His other name is Machiavelli, not Machiavelli. That's a whole other dude. Minor nitpick.
Mentioned Detective Cliff Mogg many times, and we can't mention his name enough. He is the detective, along with his colleagues, that brought this case here today to you. A Clark County grand jury has indicted Dwayne Keith Davis with one count of open murder with use of a deadly
Dwayne Keefe Davis. There we are. That's why it's Keefe D. Okay.
weapon with a gang enhancement. Davis will appear in court in the next few days or so for a hearing to determine his custody status and to set a jury trial date. This grand jury has been receiving evidence for months and has determined there is sufficient evidence to justify the filing of this criminal indictment. I've assigned two of my top prosecutors, Mark DiGiacomo and Banu Palal, to prosecute this case. I know a lot of people have been watching and waiting for this day. Tupac Shakur is a music legend, and for a long time, this community and worldwide have been wanting justice for Tupac. Today we are taking that first step. Tupac was actually quoted as saying, "Death is not the greatest loss in life. The greatest loss is what dies inside while still alive. Never surrender." Well, we didn't surrender thanks to the great work of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department under the leadership of Sheriff Kevin McMahill, Lieutenant Johansson, retired Detective Cliff Mogg. I am proud to announce the return of this document. This is the indictment we've been waiting almost 3 decades for.
Holy shit.
It spells out the facts and circumstances and what justifies a Clark County grand jury in returning an indictment.
Wow. Wow. They've been waiting almost 3 decades to represent this doc. That's... I actually felt something in my stomach, man. That's incredible. That is incredible.
Justice will be served. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. I'd just like to say that the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Homicide Section year over year solves over 90% of the homicides that occur in our jurisdiction. You won't find that anywhere else in the United States. For those family members that have lost somebody that we haven't solved that case, I want you to know, just like in this case, we're not going to give up. I also say to you that as we begin, we're going to take a couple of questions. I want you to remember in your questioning that this investigation, subsequent arrest, and now indictment is only the beginning of the process. And we are committed and invested in ensuring a successful prosecution as we move forward. So with that, we'll take any questions that you might have.
Sheriff, have you been, excuse me, Sheriff, thank you. Have you been...
Real quick, before questions, what he just said about other people who've lost someone through a homicide. I had a cousin that my younger siblings have never met. He was like Tupac, a good dude, hung out with the wrong dudes, and that cost him his life. He was literally there just to pick him up from somewhere. It was like, hey man, please, and like Tupac, he got shot. Like Tupac was all over the news. And maybe last year, early this year, the place where it went down got destroyed. The closure that I and so many other families got because that place was so bad, so many people lost their lives there. It was something else, man. So I could somewhat relate.
been in touch with the Shakur family? Anyone?
Oh, and the dude that did it got arrested. Did his time, because this was decades ago, got out, and yeah. That's all I want to say about that.
Within here today, and if so, can you characterize what they told you?
The family has reached out to my office. I imagine also to Metro. We've been in communication with them. We understand that they are welcoming this news. They are pleased with this news, and they are certainly aware of the return of this indictment.
Do you anticipate them being at court for arraignment of Mr. Davis?
I don't think they'll be at the arraignment. I mean, that's a relatively short hearing, but I know that they'll be involved. I know that they'll want to be apprised of what goes on a frequent basis.
Okay, who? Because I could just barely hear this
We've been
person.
in communication with them.
With the Shakur family, anyone?
Oh, hell yeah, they'll
today.
There'll be any way they can. They'll be
If
involved.
So, can you
Yeah.
characterize what they told you?
The family has reached out to my office. I imagine also to Metro. We've been in communication with them. We understand that they are welcoming this news. They are pleased with this news, and they are certainly aware of the return of this indictment.
Do you anticipate them being at court for arraignment of Mr. Davis?
I don't think they'll be at the arraignment. I mean, that's a relatively short hearing, but I know that they'll be involved. I know that they'll want to be apprised of what goes on a frequent basis.
Maybe, but I feel like Mopreme, Pac's brother, will have something to say. I feel like he will. And Pac's sister, whose name I can't pronounce. I don't know, she might have something to say, but Mopreme would definitely probably have something to say.
Go back.
Can you talk about any of the statements that you made that piqued your curiosity again or got you back into this case?
Jason, you want to answer that? We're not going to talk about any particular statements, but maybe he can address that globally.
What I'll say is there's a lot that's going to come out when it comes time for trial, but he provides his own series of statements that are very consistent with the evidence that we have on the scene that we've obtained through our investigation. I'll leave it at that.
Can you identify anything that came from the service of the warrant in July that you didn't know before?
Yeah, that's a good question. What I'll say about the search warrant that we did in July, that we obtained information or evidence during that execution of that search warrant that corroborated information obtained through our investigation, and I'll leave it at that until we go to trial.
Go ahead.
Hello, Tiffany Ling with Channel 3. So I know that this was obviously a big move. Is there anyone else being looked at this point? I know a lot of people have passed away since this incident, but is anyone else being looked at as part of this investigation still?
I love that question. I I already said for years I thought it was Suge. He had no involvement. I don't believe he did. And Biggie Smalls had no involvement whatsoever. I don't believe. I keep hearing Puffy. I don't know. That's a great question, though. I'd like to hear his answer.
So as I stated earlier, in this case,
that other faction that I won't be naming, but I doubt that.
the only living suspect related to this investigation is Dwayne Davis. All other 3 suspects are deceased.
Yeah.
Vanessa.
Thank you. Vanessa Murphy, Channel 8. Steve, can you talk about the murder charge if he is not the one believed to have pulled the trigger?
Yes, well, under Nevada law, and this
I mean, he didn't pull the trigger. He was right next to the dude that did, though. He was complicit.
is the law in most states in this country. You can be charged with a crime whether you're directly involved or whether you're an aider and abetter. We have an aiding and abetting statute, which provides that if you help somebody commit a crime, you can be equally as guilty. The best example is 2 guys that agree to commit a bank robbery, and one of them goes into the bank with a gun and actually commits the robbery, and the other guy is the getaway driver. Never went in the bank, but he assisted the guy that went in the bank. So
That's a classic example right there.
That is one of the theories in this case as well.
Last question.
Do investigators believe that Davis was the only person behind the plan to kill 2Pac, or was he one of multiple people who came up with this plan?
Hell no, he wasn't the only one. Not even close.
I think the best way to characterize that is Dwayne Davis was the shot caller for this group of individuals that committed this crime, and he orchestrated the plan that was carried out to commit this crime.
And can you say how he obtained the gun or who he obtained it from?
We know that he obtained it from a close associate. A lot of the actual details of who specifically, all that come out at trial, but he obtained it from a close associate of his.
Thank you for coming.
Lieutenant,
Appreciate
can you
it.
say-
Wait, how you saying it? What now?
Dwayne Davis was the shot caller for this group of individuals that committed this crime, and he orchestrated the plan that was carried out to commit this crime.
And can you say how he obtained the gun or who he obtained it from?
We know that he
Keefe had the gun to hold. Again. No, I want to say it again, but I don't want to say it. He had the damn gun.
obtained it from a close associate. A lot of the actual details of who specifically, all that come out at trial, but he obtained it from a close associate of his.
Thank you for coming.
Lieutenant, can
Appreciate
you
it.
say if Mr. Davis has said anything since his arrest?
Mr. Wilson?
Steve?
Steve?
Okay, I think that's all of the press conference. So, yeah. This was 7 hours ago. Let's see if they comments are on. Let us see if comments are on. Oh, they are. I'm at a loss. I'm honestly all teared up. I was pretty close myself. They brought out the evidence from 3 decades ago. I was pretty close. I never thought this day would come. My heart goes out to all involved serving justice here. Yeah. Why anyone with a criminal past would go on Vlad is mind-boggling. Yeah, and so many people. Yeah. I mean, it's. Yeah. Yeah. Good job, detective, especially the one who spent 2 decades before he retired on the case. Yeah. And you mentioned the other dude, though, who's no longer with us, who really was investigating. It's been long overdue. We love and miss Tupac, R.I.P. Hell yeah, R.I.P. Tupac. I'm grateful that your department did not forget Tupac Shakur. He was someone's son, grandson, cousin, nephew, godson, friend, and beloved in the rap world. He was and is somebody still. Rest in peace, young man. Yeah. Okay. Now this would have been the end of it, but when I was looking up stuff, I found one more video from 4 hours ago. So 3 hours after this one. 3 hours? Cause it was 7 hours ago. Yeah, 3 hours. Yeah. I know math. And this one, no. Okay. Got one more video to get into. There we are. And this is on the channel Law and Crime Network, which I do sometimes watch, like randomly. So, and the title is, hold on, Compton gang member who bragged about shooting Tupac Shakur arrested in his murder case. That was Keefe, wasn't it?
But the wheels of justice turn slowly sometimes, and that was the case here, but they got it done.
27 years after rapper Tupac Shakur was shot to death in a car in Las Vegas, a man who confessed to his involvement in the crime is behind bars.
Who shot Tupac?
To keep it for the code of the streets. It just came from the backseat, bro.
Filmmaker Mike Dorsey predicted an arrest on Law and Crime nearly 2 months ago.
I think that they are going to close this case. I think that there is very likely going to be an indictment.
Thanks for joining us here on Law and Crime. I'm Anjanette Levy. Las Vegas Metro Police took Dwayne Keefe D. Davis into custody Friday. He's being held on charges related to the 1996 murder of rapper Tupac Shakur. Las Vegas Metro Police searched Davis's home in Henderson, Nevada in July.
The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. We have a search warrant for the resident. You need to come out with your hands up and your hands in.
At the same time, a grand jury was investigating Tupac's murder. Tupac Shakur was shot as he was riding in a car driven.
That's right, Tupac and Uncle Lou from 2 Live Crew. That collaboration. Can you imagine?
Driven by Suge Knight one night in September 1996. Tupac had gotten into a fight with a man named Orlando Anderson at the MGM Grand during a Mike Tyson fight. The shooting of Shakur was believed to be retaliation for the fight. Keefe D later confessed that he gave Anderson, who was his nephew, the gun to shoot Tupac Shakur. He made the statement in a proffer to police, but the statement could not be used against him in court. Years later, Keefe D admitted his involvement in Tupac's murder in his book, Compton Street Legend. Many view the book as a confession. Keefe D wrote about that night. I pulled out the Glock that Zip had given me and tossed it in the back seat. Bubble Up did the driving, Baby Lane and Freaky were riding in the back. Like two rams locking horns, Suge and I looked each other dead in the eye. The terrified expression on Suge's face read, "Damn them N-words." He goes on to write, one of my guys from the back seat grabbed the Glock and started busting back. Tupac Shakur died days later, and his murder would remain unsolved for years. Orlando Anderson was shot to death the next year. Filmmaker Mike Dorsey worked with retired LAPD detective Greg Kading on the documentary Murder Rap.
Murder Rap, yeah, I have that documentary in my collection. I've been meaning to watch it. It is a long one, but I do have it.
Which looked at Kading's investigation into the murders of Biggie Smalls and Tupac Shakur. I spoke with Dorsey about the news that Dwayne Keefe D. Davis had been taken into custody.
Well, this has been, for me, kind of a 10-year journey since we put out our doc, Murder Rap, which was the first documentary that put out his taped confession that his crew did this. And my reaction is that this has just been a very long time coming, and very, very, it's just an exciting day to finally have this. We didn't think this was going to happen at a certain point. It just seemed like so much time had gone by. You started to wonder, is it really going to happen or not? But the wheels of justice turn slowly sometimes, and that was the case here. But they got it done.
You said that you thought an indictment would be coming, but now you're saying you didn't think this would ever happen. So do you feel like it was taking too long? Because we had heard some rumblings that a grand jury was looking at this.
I'll just say, initially we had heard that it was going to happen very quickly. It seemed like an indictment was, 6 weeks ago, an indictment was like happening, and then nothing. And we heard the grand jury was convening. And, it was very airtight. They're not telling us anything.
That's awesome.
They aren't telling the public anything. So you do start to wonder after weeks and weeks go by if they're really going to pull it off or not.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, what kind of witnesses do you think they have? Because everybody else that was in that vehicle that night is dead.
Sure.
So there are two things happening in that picture, in that video, that I'm just not a fan of. If you've seen the video, that's Tupac spitting at the camera. I don't like spit. It's disgusting to me. And he's also wearing a Detroit Red Wings jersey. I'm not big into hockey. Actually, I only know about the Red Wings because of this jersey. I want to know what that was. But Tupac and Mopreme. Two brothers right there. Yeah, I said it before earlier, Mopreme, but definitely I was starting to say, I would love to know what he has to say about this. His sister too, but Mopreme, I believe, is more willing to say something now.
I know some of the people that they've spoken to, but I can't disclose that. But correct. I mean, all three of the other people that were allegedly with Keefe in the shooter's vehicle, they've all died since this happened. Some of the key witnesses, like Tupac's bodyguard, is dead. Tupac himself, of course, being the closest witness, is dead. Suge Knight, being the next closest witness, will probably never talk about it. So I don't know exactly who they've spoken to that could help them build, a case around Keefe. But I do know that when Murder Rep came out, we heard from a lot of people that had information on this case
Hold up. He mentioned
that had
all these
never
people.
disclosed it, never talk about it.
No,
So I
he just
do, but
mentioned
I
a bunch
can't
of people.
disclose
Hold
that.
up,
But
hold up.
correct. I mean, all three of the other people that were allegedly with Keefe in the shooter's vehicle, they've all died since this happened. Some of the key witnesses, like Tupac's bodyguard, is dead. Tupac himself, of course, being the closest witness, is dead. Suge Knight.
Frank Alexander is the bodyguard. Yeah, he's no longer with us. He didn't mention Yaki Gaddafi, Tupac's cousin. He was ready to talk about it. He was there, and he got murdered himself like a week later. So yeah, he was one of the outlaws too.
Being the next closest witness, will probably never talk about it. So I don't know exactly who they've spoken to that could help them build, a case around Keefe. But I do know that when Murder Rep came out, we heard from a lot of people that had information on this case, that had never disclosed it before, who said that it basically filled in the gaps for them of what they already knew. So my guess is that that's who they've been talking to, is people like that who have pieces of the story, and when you put them all together, it's like this tapestry that comes together of a case.
In some of these interviews, Keefe D seemed very cognizant of the fact that he had to be careful about what he said. So he obviously knew that he still was at risk of possibly being prosecuted, but then he goes and writes this book.
Right. Yeah, when he did his interview with BET for Death Row Chronicles, which came out in 2018, he had an attorney with him present for that interview. And then after that, I don't know how much legal counsel he was getting. It's almost like when that came out and nothing happened to him, I wonder if maybe he got lulled into this sense of, oh, I guess they're not going to do anything. I'll just keep doing interviews, and I'll be careful on my own and do what I think, I can get away with saying without going too far. But yeah, it seems clear. I mean, the fact that you bring a lawyer with you to an interview to make sure you don't say too much does tell you that he must have, at least in the back of his mind, considered that he might still be able to be prosecuted for this.
Mm-hmm.
And the proffer deal, when he did his original, statement to the police about this, 15 years ago, that only covers what he says that day in that meeting. If he went on CNN that night and said the same story, they would be able to use that interview against him. So I think he knows full well he had to be careful what he said.
So what do you expect to come next? Obviously.
Shit. Once again, they're going to make me tear up, man. Tupac, Shock G, man. Digital Underground. Both gone now. Man, my parents, they did not want me to listen to Tupac back in the 90s at all. But my dad straight up let myself and my brother listen to Sex Packets by Digital Underground. So just imagine my dad, who's gone. Man.
Keefe D had to know something might be coming since a search warrant was executed on his home.
Sure. We don't know what the charges are yet. I'm hoping that if there's a press conference today, that they'll tell us what he's actually being charged with, and confirm, of course, that it's for this case. Mm-hmm. And the next, I would think that he might want to do a deal, or that they might be interested in doing a deal. I don't know anybody wants this to go to trial and have that circus in Vegas, and so I would suspect that they would try to do a deal, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm. The Associated Press is reporting that a judge ordered Keefe D held without bail. The prosecutor on the case was quoted as saying during the hearing that Keefe D was the on-site commander who ordered the death of 2pac Shakur. For Law and Crime, I'm Anjanette Levy.
So you think you know Wicks? Do you really?
Shakur. For Law and Crime, I'm Anjanette Levy.
Okay, so that's everything I had. Let us read these comments. What is this? Oh, I saw this. Yeah. They were doubting that this would happen, but look where we are now. Okay. I almost want to click on that just to see that. I might. Yeah, 3 weeks ago. Clout chasing gets you a life sentence. Damn, that's a comment. Almost 30 years, time flies. Happy to witness this day, R.I.P. 2pac. Same. Justice for Pac, hell yeah. Really hope that 2pac finally receives the justice he deserves. Yeah, definitely. Okay, what the hell? They said this 3 weeks ago. I remember it popping up in my recommended, and now here we are. So, yeah, just to see.
When your cat's mean, then your dog is.
Oh my goodness. I do all this work, and the damn beard commercial gets me copywritten. That'd be messed up. I don't even drink. And for the record, I used to like TMZ. Used to watch them a lot. Not so much now, but still. So yeah, 2pac siblings. See, I can't pronounce her name. Sekyiwa and Mopreme Shakur cast doubt on Keefe D investigation. Just to see.
Obviously, Keefe D's house was raided last month. Have you heard from police at all? Has this led to anything that will help to make an arrest?
Las Vegas Homicide did contact us, but after I did the CNN interview,
yeah,
they did contact us. Maybe guilt, I don't know, but I don't know. But we will see. The guy who contacted us has already retired, so I don't know.
Yeah, there seems to be a loophole that 2pac's death continues to fall in. But as Shakurs, we're used to not being able to trust the legal systems to protect us in that way.
That is true. Yeah. Unfortunately, that family, all kinds of trouble with the law. Rafini, Asada, 2pac, Mopreme, I guess Sekyiwa too. Yaki Gaddafi, he's part of that family. He was. Yeah.
I don't even want to say this man's name or his nickname or whatever, but my brother is gone.
Yeah.
And it's affected my entire life and my children's life and my siblings' lives, my parents. And for whatever 2pac meant to the world, he meant 500 times more to us. So his death is not taken lightly.
Yeah.
And so I hope, just in having faith in the universe, having faith in anything good, that that his death will have some kind of justice.
Yeah.
For sure.
We don't know anything about the guy, and
yeah,
we all waiting to see.
Yeah.
Like I said, everybody get your popcorn, because we don't know anything. And it doesn't appear, you know, this investigation has been robust in the in the smallest way.
You think it was a good idea to raid the house?
I have no idea.
Thank you guys.
Ask the Las Vegas homicide.
I mean, I was asking the same question myself earlier, so that's a good question.
He just never cleaned up for 30 years. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's a really long time to wait.
But I've raised 2 children in this time. They're all adults, and their rooms are clean. Like I can't go back to see what they did 30 years ago and find. I don't know what they would find.
Yeah.
How they could find something 30 years later, but if they did, I really hope so.
They took like hard drives and stuff like that.
Were there hard drives back then? Don't know. See what I'm saying? I don't.
Yes, there were, but not like today.
know.
Yeah.
I just hope and I pray that my brother's death comes.
I mean, I still have some hard drives from the 90s or early 2000s laying around here somewhere. But see, I'm a computer dude. Is Keefe dead? I don't know.
Has some justice to it. The Shakur legacy is way bigger than rap, and it's way bigger than violence. It's way bigger than the story of bank robbery or things like that. The Shakur legacy is of healing and love, and the music industry should be very careful about trying to control the narrative of who the Shakurs were, because the work that our family, our parents have done is way bigger than hip-hop.
I wanted to ask, how did his teachings influence 2pac's music?
I mean, one of the reasons that TMZ is with us today is because Pac screamed his name out on records.
Yeah.
Everybody knows the lines.
Yeah.
Ride for Matu like we ride for Geronimo. That's family. You know, the impact of this family is substantial.
Yeah.
And I feel like our job now is to carry it forward responsibly. You know, we have Afeni's legacy of tenants' rights. We have.
Okay, I was wondering about that. Because after we lost her, I'm like, who gets the rights? Is it Mopreme and his sister, or is it Billy Garland, Pac's father? Just the siblings. That's it. Okay.
Pac and I's legacy of music. We have Matu's health legacy. And, you know, the positive things this family was able to produce, we want to keep pushing.
Yeah.
2Pac was raised by this man. So
yes.
Yeah.
His everything who he was formulated and sculptured by the presence and the absence of this man in his life. And so the reason why we have a 2Pac is because his father was a political prisoner. His father was an activist. His father was a healer, and then taken from him, and he was left to do his best to fulfill his father's dreams. We're fighting the former record executive Tom Wally, who has not handled, executed my mother's trust properly.
Yeah.
And it's part of the bastardization of how the Shakur name is being played out. So we're working towards reclaiming that with the help of our attorneys.
Damn. Afeni had to do it 20 some odd years ago when we lost Pac. Now they're doing it when we lost Afeni. That's crazy.
Londell McMillan, Donald David, we're not afraid of making sure that at least the legacy of the Shakur family stays intact and stays within their children.
Yeah, whatever. Just out of curiosity, though. Maybe the first time I've ever heard Pac's sister speak publicly to this extent. Smart woman. Me too. Like, she was at the hit when he got his star on the Walk of Fame, but that was pretty much it. So, yeah. I feel for Pac's sister, lost her brother, recently her mom. Yeah. Want to give her a hug and hope this. Okay. And hope this POS or whoever did this and robbed this all the greatest rapper ever to be put under jail forever. That sentence. I see Tupac's name, I click and I watch. Rest easy, yeah. The greatest ever. I agree. We will forever miss you, and we will forever hold it down for you, Pac. Goat, absolutely. She sounds so much like her mother. She looks like her too. It's crazy. I can just feel her energy throughout the interview. R.I.P. to a true artist. Prayerfully, those involved in his death get what they deserve in this life or the next. Listening to Bridget's Got a Baby, that is for Dear Mama. Better choice for a song situation. Unconditional Love, even better choice. Life Through My Rear View, when you sitting through my rear view. Yeah, Changes. Yeah, that's what the article posted. Among many others, always live on as a testament to his heart, soul, and artistry. Yeah. Rest in rhymes, Tupac. My condolences to the family. And what's in dark will come light. Yeah. Well spoken and very well said by her sister on a few things. Yes, 500 times more. Yeah. Rest in peace to the GOAT. Yep. Now, let's look at the recent comments just to see. Rest in power, Pac made her family find closure and justice. Yes, the MC. I don't get it. They got his ass. RP Tupac. Love to the Shakur family. Yes. God bless Tupac Shakur. Amen. Yeah. Okay, so, yeah. They didn't think it would happen. It did. How much of this, what happens next, I have no idea. Because I got some of the same reservations. Like I said earlier, like, it's been a while. What are the chances anything related to Pac is on any of those forms of media? But then again, he wrote a book, so maybe some of those drafts, he said too much or something. I don't know. And I wish Afeni Shakur was here to see it. My goodness, can you imagine? Rest in peace to Afeni Shakur, Yaki Gaddafi, Tupac Shakur, from the Shakur family to our outlaws who are no longer with us. Biggest was any casualties in this whole damn thing. Just rest in peace. This was huge leap in this whole damn thing. Yeah, that is all I have. Thank you for watching. I've literally been sitting here for an hour. Man. Thank you for watching.